Lockdown Protocol, a game where you have to trick your friends and foes into a false sense of security to win the game. As of recording this video, the Steam connection between players is broken, so it has been unplayable for the last day, but hopefully it'll be back up soon. Now with that out of the way, I'm going to show you two parts on how to win this game. The first and most important one is finding weapons, because you need to find a weapon quickly if you're going to survive your shift. And secondly is hiding things. As a dissident, you need to know all the best hiding spots to ensure you waste as much of the employee's time as possible. I hope you learned something from this, and hopefully you can use this against your friends to ensure victory. Enjoy! Depending which spot of the circle you spawn in, you want to try and see as many of the spawn areas as possible. For example, if you spawn near cameras, you're going to want to run into cameras and check all the spawn spots. If you spawn on the end that's closer to mechanical, which is the room with the pressure engines, you should be checking mechanical for weapons. A good thing about mechanical is that if you don't find a weapon, you can use a screwdriver, because a lot of screwdrivers will actually spawn here. And if you don't find a weapon in machine room, then you can actually look around storage, and sometimes weapons may spawn here. Well, there's a C4. Side note, C4 actually may not spawn with a detonator, or a detonator may actually not spawn with a C4. There's a random chance item. I'm not sure what the percentages are, but it seems like about 25% or maybe 20% of the time detonators will actually spawn, and maybe like over 50% of the time a C4 will spawn. Now if you spawn on this side of computers, you should do one of two things. You should just peek right quickly as far as like the second office, because you can see, as you can see there's a weapon right there. But sometimes a cassette will be there, so try not to get tricked by that. Sometimes there may be a weapon there, but it would be easiest to see if there's a weapon in the last office if you're standing here, because then you can just turn your head and maybe do this, and then you could see for sure or not whether or not there's a weapon. If there is not a weapon in those offices, maybe there'd be a weapon in these offices. The thing about these offices is that you don't have to enter them to see a weapon. So we didn't even have to really go any further than this to see that there's a weapon right there. So we can just assume there's no weapons there. But if we're going for that weapon anyway, never hurts to just take a quick little look, and then there you go. And the revolver is probably one of my favorites, because the accuracy can be kind of meh, but once you headshot them with it, that's it. It's over. So you have two options once you go buy computers. Now you can either go to Botanical, or you can skip those and go right to the fridge, because a lot of the time things will spawn in the fridge that you may be able to use as a weapon. And if you're a dissident, you can get to the rice fast if everyone has gone out and about and you don't see anybody, and quickly just take your rice and hide it somewhere inconspicuous, like there. But if you do want to go to Botanical, we would usually just look around here, and that's a pretty big indicator. That's most of your search spots are within this radius to find a weapon, but sometimes you may find a weapon back there. Very rare, but I'd say for the most efficient route is just to take a peek like this. If you see nothing, continue on. Now the cleaning room is not my favorite room, but most of your search spots are right within this angle. Like, you're gonna see it this side coming in, and you're gonna see this side when you get there, and you might as well just bounce off and go this way, because the chances of you actually finding a weapon right there are pretty slim. I've only found a weapon there maybe once. Now Botanical, the plant room, usually you're gonna find a weapon either there, or there, sometimes there. So usually it's the knife. I've never found a gun in Botanical yet. That just seems to be how it goes. But a lot of times I'll just skip Botanical. Now, Pazushi. Pazushi isn't really my favorite place to search in general, especially like the spawn spots are really low. Like you might see a weapon right here at most, but, or a knife right here. But that is those are your two most likely weapons to find in the room, and Actually, there is one right here. Sometimes you'll find the knife sitting right there like that. And I prefer to just kind of do this. It's like, because you can usually see the outline, or like you can tell that the knife is right there. So if I can tell the knife's right there, I'm going for the knife right away, because the knife is what I think is the best weapon in the game, especially if you're good at talking to people, manipulating them, because they could be, I don't know, putting the package in and that's it, they're done. And or they could be putting in a thing for the pizza, and then you just bang bang, that's it, they're dead. So it's definitely one of the better places to use the weapons when you find them. Now after you scan there to see if there's a knife, and you're optional to look in there, I would say look right here. So sometimes an item will spawn there, and you'll get the easy viewing angle of this right here to see if there's a weapon there. And then you can strafe like this to see if there's a weapon there. There's actually a shotgun there, but it's got no ammo. And then you can strafe a little bit this way to look in that room. Usually it'll either spawn there or there. Sometimes it'll knife will actually spawn about right here or here on this planter. Sometimes a gun will spawn right there, and sometimes a weapon will spawn right here. But most of the time a knife would spawn there or there if it's going to spawn here, and maybe a shotgun here every so often. But mechanical is a pretty good bet for spawn areas. Now storage area, usually last place to go, because if you have no weapon, you're gonna want to just grab a screwdriver, because screwdriver can actually do a lot of damage from behind. Even though it's a little slow, it's just 3 bang bang bang, that's it, they're gone, they're dealt with. You don't have to worry about it anymore. But once you find a weapon, you should always go to storage first, because you can hide things right away. As I'm going to demonstrate in a second here, there's certain ways that you can hide things that people would just never guess. When you think about lockdown protocol, you usually think about hiding people's tasks from them. And that's what separates this game a lot from a game like Among Us. You can hide the screwdrivers, the vents, the batteries and fuses, the rice, the delivery packages, the clean containers, and the canisters. Now the vents are a special item because you put them in there, and sometimes people will just press the button and run away, right? And you can actually stop the vent from cleaning by pausing it. The screwdriver is a pocketable item, so you could use it as a weapon against someone later on if you needed to. The battery, while not such a great weapon because it uses a lot of stamina, it will deal a lot of damage to opponents from the back. Same with the fuse. The rice is not pocketable, however has a lot of knockback, so if somebody is attacking you, you may be able to hit them and throw the rice and run away. So when we think about hiding spots, we're going to have to think about a lot. And first we're going to start with botanical. So for botanical, once I think somebody has maybe hidden an item from me, I will look behind here, because this is a very common hiding spot for people to utilize. Another hiding spot that people may use is behind here in the back of botanical, because when they take a peek right quick, there's nothing there, and then they'll go away. So small items can easily be hidden back here. I've even been able to hide an air filter back here and have no one find it. So it's a pretty useful spot. If you find an empty weapon on the map, you can put it right there. And if you have a small item, place it in that corner. And people will get distracted by the weapon and won't see the item down there. If you don't have anything to put here, that's okay. But yeah, this is another low IQ hiding spot. Sometimes people will throw things here, and they're very easy to find just by going around the corner. Some people will put it there thinking they're right, nice and clever, but you can actually see the outline on the item underneath of the cart. Now in botanical is actually a great place to hide items. So you can hide items right there, and that's out of the field of view of most people, because when they're coming through here, they're probably not looking that way, and they won't see this item right here. Another good spot is right back here. If no one's doing elementations here, then they're probably not going to look at that little spot. They're going to be more interested in over here if there's a container. Another spot I've actually seen that's very interesting is right here on this pallet. If you bounce things just right, end up right there. And when people come down here to look, they're looking down here, they're looking down there, they're not looking behind the pallet. And even if they're coming out of here, they won't see what's on the other side of the pallet. Maybe if I move it over a little more, like that. Then they're not going to see it on the back side of the pallet when they come out and around, or maybe they'll be looking up when they go around. Another great spot for hiding an item, like a container, because you'll find a lot of containers in this room, and if you want to hide something quickly without someone finding it, you usually stick it right in there, because they won't see it when they look down the aisles trying to find something really quick. And the last hiding spot for botanical is right here, because it's quite out of the way of people's view, and people are likely to skip over looking at that. And people are likely to skip over looking there when they are looking down these aisles. Now, the refrigerator is sort of a bad place to hide items. There's only one that's really any good. That's right there, because people are likely to skip over when they're looking for anything else. Now, Pazushi is pretty interesting because if there is no task in Pazushi, you can actually get away with hiding things in here, especially if you just, stick something right there and people are looking over here for a weapon. Wow, I found a gun. But yeah, people are more likely to look over in here or there than they are to look over here. Another good idea is right within this little... Right, actually, no. Another good little spot is there behind that if someone just comes in looking for weapons. Or you could even just stick it in right there, and people probably wouldn't be the wiser if there is not a Pazushi task. But a lot of people will usually hide things back in here, which I think is good if there is no task in Pazushi. But for the most part, it's pretty complicated to hide things in Pazushi, especially if there is a task in here. So I don't like to hide things in Pazushi. Medical has some pretty interesting spots, because even though in this room, I would highly suggest you not hide anything because they're going to find it. It's a very easy room to see all angles. Right here is actually quite good. It's a quite good little spot, because even if they go in through there, they're not going to see it there. And even if they go in through here, they're less likely to catch it out of the corner of their eye. Another good little spot is right behind this plant here, if you have a small dark item, because people are likely to miss it. Or maybe if you're just like in a rush, you can kind of like stick it under the desk right in the corner. Right there. Pretty good spot. Storage. I like storage a lot because there is some sort of exploitable ones that people aren't going to find. This is a kind of a tough one. If anyone comes through back there, they're likely to see the item just poking out. But if they are just looking from this way, they would never see. One that people like to use is this one, but I just really don't like that spot. Another one is right here. If you have a small item behind this pallet stack here. But one that a lot of people use is right here behind these pallets. Now for a section like this, I really like it because I can usually hide things like this. And like this. And like that. Or like that. Like that. Oh. Like that. Nope. Like that. That one's tough. Okay. That. And even like that. So see, it looks like there's nothing in this aisle at all, except, well, the package is kind of hard to hide. But there's actually a fuel canister, a battery, another battery, a delivery package, a fuse, and a screwdriver back here. So don't count this out when you're hiding items in the game. Now, fuel canisters are really hard. That's why I like to try to hide them back in areas like this, like at least one. But fuel canisters on the, like, really, the best thing that you can do with a fuel canister is just mess up the job and delay them, because if you put a blue in first, the chances of it actually being where it's supposed to go is extremely low, and will make them have to take it out so that they can put a yellow one in its spot to test to see if it's the right one or not. Now for the machine room, it can be a little complicated. There is this little spot down back here that a lot of people use. If you hide something behind the leg of the ladder good enough, usually people won't see it like that there. Usually people won't see it if they're just, you know, zooming on by, but it's very easy to see spot, so I would not recommend hiding anything here. Somewhere I've seen people hide things is right in behind this little lantern spot here. Right there. That's one I've seen people use, but you can kind of see behind there, but people aren't paying attention, they won't see it. Otherwise, mechanical can be really hard to hide items, but if you want to hide something, you can usually hide it behind the radio. That way if someone just comes there and takes a quick peek and doesn't see anything, they're gonna walk away. So this is the only real spot in the game that I would say, even though mechanical isn't a great place to hide things, this is probably like the best spot, probably one of the best spots in the game. Now we're gonna look into security. So security is another one of those weird places. You can't really hide anything behind the radio because you can see it from every angle. You can't hide anything under the desk, but you can hide things in this little cubby hole behind the desk. It's pretty good. Or if you're confident that no one's going to enter the room, maybe just stick it right in there. Maybe. You can bounce it right there. And so then people will just quickly I don't see nothing. And then, yeah, that's a pretty good spot. Another thing I've seen people do is hide things like around little bushels. It's like behind there is a really good one. It's a fairly hard spot to see, but usually people can see the highlight of the item behind it. One place I really like to use actually is right behind the tree, right there, or wherever you can get it to sit. Oh. I'd say right there is pretty good. Right there's usually a pretty good spot because you can't really see it from this way, and the chances of you seeing it from this way are pretty low as it kind of blends in with the crystals. And then the one people like to use is over here behind this little, ooh, maybe I can hide behind this little tree, and you're unlikely to find anything back here. You're gonna look. Another strange one's right like there-ish. Just somewhere people aren't gonna look, even though it's in plain sight. But if someone's going from security to here, maybe they'll see it. And that wraps up pretty much the main lobby area. Computers is interesting. I really like computers because you can hide things right there. And that's it. Or if they have an elementation here, it's really quick to just take this and pop it right there. That's it. And they can't find it for the whole game. But that's a pretty underrated spot that a lot of people don't really use. Now you could hide things back in this room, but chances of them searching it are really high, so they're gonna find it right away. Another little interesting spot is actually right here, because when they're walking out, they're not gonna see it, and when they're walking in, they're not gonna see it. So this is actually a really good little spot. Hey, hope you enjoyed the tips and tricks video to help you win your next game. This should definitely give you an edge over the others. I may make a video related to tasks later, but we'll see how this video does first. Hit the like if you learned something, subscribe if you want to see a task series of videos, and until next time, see ya.